following depicts the responsible usage of firearms in a controlled environment by trained and competent individuals. Exercise your brains while exercising your rights. Today I got to spend some much needed time at the range. It's been a while since I've had any trigger time with this particular AR. It was my first build and remains one of my favorites. I enjoy optics, rails, and the many accessories of modern AR platforms, but it's always great to get back to the retro roots of Stoner's most prolific design. Now, just a brief historical overview. In 1959, Armalite licensed the AR15 to Colt. It's in 1963 that the Air Force adopts the AR under the designation M16 at the behest of General Curtis LeMay himself. The Army follows suit with an initial order of 85,000 rifles. Now, as with pretty much all government contracts, politics were present at every turn as Springfield Armory lobbied to keep the M14 in the hands of the nation's fighting men and the government dollars rolling in. But the M16 finally won out. Now, most of us are likely familiar with the jamming issues experienced initially when the guns were pressed into service in Vietnam's opening years. The problem wasn't actually with Stoner's design, but McNamara and his brilliant whiz kids deciding to change the powder type. Once this was remedied, and it was apparent that regular maintenance was in fact required, the arm was largely dependable and well suited to the close-quarter combat of the jungles of Southeast Asia. In fact, my father, an air commando in Vietnam, carried 2 M16s in his O2. Now the rest is history. All the M16A2s, A3s, A4s, and countless AR variations that soldier on today are all rooted in Stoner's space-age rifle, now over 50 years old. Now, as I mentioned, my rifle is a build. It began with an authentic SP1 pre-band upper, most likely departmental surplus. I then built out a modern Colt AR lower and added period-correct surplus furniture. I also replaced the birdcage-style flash hider with the earlier 3-prong variation. Then a couple of months ago I swapped out the Colt lower with a Brownell's Retro Series lower to further complete the early M16A1 aesthetic. Now on the range I wasn't going for precision, but more so just what I like to call combat accuracy. I fed it 300 plus rounds of Steelcase Monarch 55 grain 223 due to my budget. Still, it ran flawlessly with the exception of a few times the bolt failed to lock back on the last round, which is more likely indicating it's time for a new hold-open lever. It fired well with original 20-round magazines, P-mags, and a variety of Stanag and contemporary 30-rounders as well. My offhand groups are nothing to write home about, but that's more a testament to my mediocre marksmanship. Still, they were plenty tight for the intended purpose. Now, off the bench at 100 yards, the groups were satisfactory and could have been tightened quite a bit had I taken my time and used more consistent loadings. Now, in the past, I've been capable of about 2.5 MOA at 100 yards with 77 grain Federal rounds. Its recoil is mild and easily manageable, and I fired a number of Class 3 ARs, and they're plenty controllable on rock and roll. It's handy and it's light, but I will say it heats up more than I expected under sustained fire. It's always a treat to put the SP1 through its paces, and it calls to mind the legacy of this prolific platform.